Bleiler versus Kelly, Goepper versus Wallisch, and iPod versus Vito. Insane rivalries define the Winter Dew Tour Championships.
American Kelly Clark's supremacy in snowboard pipe continues to leave her alone at the top. Has she officially joined the ranks of world-class athletes like Shaun White, who utterly dominate their sport?
In surfing, 20-year-old Miguel Pupo takes charge at the Hang Loose Pro in his homeland of Brazil. And surf insider Mike Parsons gives us his take on what could be one of the best years on tour.
And it all starts right now. You're inside Alli Sports.
These guys are battling week in, week out. The bar keeps getting pushed.
Here it comes, 4 in a row, folks. First time in history.
Fantastic day of competition here at the Australian Open of Surfing.
I really have to step back and take every contest one run at a time. That's what's worked for me to get me to where I am, and that's what I'm going to keep doing.
This is Inside Alli Sports. I'm Pat Parnell.
And I'm Angela Sun. It spanned 3 stops in 3 states, but for the athletes who were hungry to capture the coveted Dew Cup, it all came down to the Toyota Championships at Snow Basin in Utah.
While China's Xuetong Cai continued to display the big airs that makes her one of the riders to watch in women's snowboarding, the Dew Cup came down to a classic confrontation with America's Kelly Clark and Gretchen Bleiler.
The battle in men's ski slope was just as intense, with the inevitable showdown between 17-year-old Nick Goepper and his more seasoned opponent, Tom Wallisch.
With only 2 overall points separating frontrunners Iouri Podladtchikov from rival and defending Dew Tour champion Louie Vito, one of the narrowest margins in Dew Tour history, men's snowboard superpipe was the most anticipated event at Snow Basin.
For an inside look at men's and women's snowboarding, we talked to the guy who happened to be right there, Olympic medalist and snowboard insider, JJ Thomas.
What's up? JJ Thomas here at the 3rd and final stop of the Dew Tour at Snow Basin, Utah. It was all about Louie Vito and iPod. These two have been battling all season long. You know the fireworks were going to come out this week, and they definitely did. Everything was on the line. The win, the Dew Cup. iPod, he threw down one of the best runs I've seen him do all year.
Double cork 1080.
Louie Vito went down in history, first guy to do 4 double corks.
Looking to improve on a 94.75. There's the first, double off the first hit, into the double chuck, off the second hit. Here it comes, double cork 1080. Boom, all he needs to do is land this one. That's 4 in a row, folks. First time in history at any snowboard competition that we've seen 4 doubles in a row, and he's not done yet. Making it forward 720, Louie Vito, 4 dubs in a row.
Well, the judges appreciated a 98 for Louie Vito.
He scored a 98, the highest score ever in Dew Tour history. He walked away with the win and the Dew Cup. Can't wait to see what's going to come next week in Oslo. These guys are battling week in, week out. The bar keeps getting pushed. Moving forward, it's going to be crazy. In women's halfpipe, it was kind of similar to the men in the sense that we saw 2 heavyweights battling, Gretchen Bleiler and Kelly Clark. Kelly Clark, she's completely dominated, and my hat's off to you, Kelly. It's been impressive to watch.
The most dominant woman in snowboarding.
At this event, her longtime friend and competitor, Gretchen Bleiler, ended up doing, I want to say, the best run I've ever seen her do as a professional. She did the best frontside 9 in a contest I've ever seen a woman do. Blew my mind. I thought she might have got the win. They gave it to Kelly. It could have gone either way. Congrats to both you girls. You guys both put on an amazing show. And I think what we're seeing here is going to be another great battle between 2 great snowboarders going on the rest of the season. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be fireworks. All right, let's get into men's slopestyle real quick. Seb Toutant and Eric Willett were probably the favorites going into today. Seb Toutant came out on top. He showed up this morning, laid down 2 runs, completely flawless. Congrats, Seb Toutant. Winner, Dew Cup champion, well done. And that's going to wrap it up for the Dew Tour this year. I can't wait for next week. All these guys are going to Oslo. You're going to be seeing the same battles. Kelly, Gretchen, iPod Louie, Seb, McMorris. Everyone's going to be coming out. Stay tuned in. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yes, I salute you, Louie. That's what we call Vito vengeance. Take that iPod. Well done, sir.
I think it's been truly entertaining and exciting to watch these 2 guys like all year long.
Oh no, and they're going to take the show on the road. But don't worry, we're going to have a full recap of the World Snowboarding Championships in Oslo, Norway next week.
And moving on to the women's pipe, an injury forced her out of competition at the Burton Canadian Open, but Kelly Clark quickly bounced back to take home her third Dew Tour Cup.
And her very comfortable position atop that pedestal seems to be a spot that even fellow Olympian Gretchen Bleiler has a problem unseating.
To get the skinny on how she does it, we went straight to the source and asked Kelly Clark about the inside story.
Yeah. Listen, positive over negative. Because I do believe in positivity. Positive over negative.
You know, I've come off the best season I've ever had. You know, I think I'm at 14 wins in a row now, and you know, it's actually probably more difficult to not get caught up in it. I really have to step back and take every contest one run at a time. That's what's worked for me to get me to where I am, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. I've been working really hard at getting my 10 as stock in my run as I can, and I feel pretty comfortable with it now. I feel like I have some ownership of it, and I really hope that it takes women's snowboarding to the next level. I've been working really hard at progressing my snowboarding, and really what I focused on is raising my own baseline. You know, I want my easy run to be better than everyone's hard runs, but you know, the rest of the field is progressing. I kind of stay focused on myself, and by raising my own standard, I hope to raise the standard for women's pipe.
While the eyes were on Wallisch and Goepper battling it out in an amazing ski slopestyle final, there was more going on than meets the eye. And luckily, we have the always insightful pro skier Luke Van Valin on hand to get us inside ski.
Hey, what's up? I'm Luke Van Valin. Here we are for the Snow Basin Dew Tour Stop 3 of 2012. It was an amazing day in slopestyle today. Russ Henshaw's backside seems to keep getting this intentional pounding from the judges. I just don't understand it. He's got one of the most flawless styles out there. I just don't see why he's not consistently in the top 3. He was one of the guys that actually could have upset Tom Wallisch, who won the Dew Cup out there today, but landed in second place. Do I agree with Tom winning the Dew Cup? Yeah, duh. He wins. That's what he does. He's the man. He's been dominant so far this season. That's the first time I've seen him get beat by Nick Goepper. And I do think that Nick Goepper deserved it. His rail section, off the charts. His jumps, very big as well. I'm excited to see that. This year, definitely when compared to last year, it's unbelievable the things that the athletes are doing up there. It's bigger tricks, it's tighter rail sections, it's harder transfers, and a lot of the guys are continuing to look for the things that are really going to bolster that score that gets them to the top. So a lot of people are left guessing, I guess, a little bit about what's going to happen now. I think we're going to see some big things continue to come in superpipe. Guys are doing doubles in competition in virtually every way, spinning bigger and bigger and bigger. I've never seen somebody ever try a switch alley-oop double McTwist outside of Noah Bowman, the first guy that we saw do the switch alley-oop double rodeo. We're going to see some of that stuff start happening. We're going to see people throwing themselves down the pipe in new odd rotations. Things are continuing to emerge out here. Don't sit back and think that you've seen it all at this point just because you watch somebody do a triple or because some dude's dropping big switch 1620s. Things are going to continue to transpire that are going to continue to blow your mind and my own, because the party is far from over.
I'm so sad. The Winter Dew Tour is in the books.
I know, but set a good tone and fret not, because you got Europe, you got US Open, but if you do want to relive it, you're desperate like Angela here, be sure to go to AlliSports.com.
And coming up in surf, big waves and bigger surprises at this year's first prime event, the Hang Loose Pro in Brazil.
And it's an all-Aussie final at the Breaka Burley Pro. We'll take a look at how the world's top surfers aren't wasting any time diving into the competition when we come back.
Welcome back to Inside Alli Sports. Pro surfing is kicking off fast and furious for 2012, especially for Miguel Pupo, who won the first ASP Prime competition of the year, the Hang Loose Pro, in his home country of Brazil.
Surfing a near-perfect 3 to 5 foot barreling beach break, Miguel Pupo decisively clinched the third prime event of his career. Odds are he was also pretty happy that he set the record for the highest heat total of the event. which did include a perfect 10 in the semifinals. The only non-Brazilian to get past the quarterfinals was fourth place finisher Brian Toth from Puerto Rico, who also moved into fourth place in the ASP World Ranking, with Pupo securing the top spot.
While Miguel and the young Brazilians were hanging out in South America, nearly a third of the top 34 pro surfers were down under in Queensland, Australia for the Breakup Early Pro.
And that's a significant fact because the Prime event had surfers chasing valuable ranking points.
While the Australian contingent at the Breakup Pro had no problem getting into competition mindset, with an All-Aussie final led by Julian Wilson, secured the win on his final wave. Rounding out the top four were Josh Kerr, Mick Fanning, and Bede Durbridge.
The big surprise was American Kolohe Andino, who was absolutely dominating the early heats. Kolohe peaked early and was unable to sustain his momentum past the quarterfinals, finishing in 9th place.
Fourth place finisher Bede Durbridge tweeted his excitement about the finals. Had a fun day at the Burley Breakup Pro. I made the final, which was nice. Julian Wilson was too good in the final though. As expected, Kolohe Andino didn't share his enthusiasm, tweeting, "Words can't explain how much I hate losing."
The Aussie road trip continues with a 6-star stop on the World Qualifying Series, the Australian Open of Surfing in Sydney. The Manly Beach Surf event serves as a springboard to the elite ASP World Tour.
While the men's round of 144 has recently got underway, the women's field is packed with talent, with 13 of the top 17 World Tour surfers competing.
Stand-up performers for the Australian Open include Laura Enever, Sally Fitzgibbons, and 2012 World Tour rookie Malia Manuel. All have secured their spots in the women's semifinals.
Which brings us to the bad news. Out of the World Tour for 2012, Hawaiian Alana Blanchard, 2005 World Tour champ Chelsea Hedges from Australia, fellow Aussie Jessie Miley Dyer, and finally Hawaiian Melanie Bartels, gone after 6 years on tour. And it's going to be really fun to watch Malia Manuel and Lakey Peterson, both rookies, in an already stacked field.
Yeah, an insanely stacked field. Carissa Moore, Stephanie Gilmore, they know a thing or two about becoming world champ, but Laura Enever, everyone knows about her willingness to charge big surf, but she is different. She looks different this year at the Australian Open. She's taken time to focus, train. She's working with Barton Lynch. She is going to be a definite threat this season. Also want to mention Tyler Wright, ASP Rookie of the Year back in 2011. She comes from that lineage of the Wright family. Owen Wright, her brother, also a Charger. So safe to say, this is going to be one of the best seasons in women's World Tour history.
I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
No, I'll be watching, and I'll also be watching the men, and who better to break down the hope and hype of the 2012 World Tour than Mike Snips Parson himself, the ultimate authority on competition surfing.
I really think they nailed it on the 32 guys that made the tour this year. I was so involved and watching so closely. I think it's the best field they've ever had. And you got the veteran class, the more traditional style of surfing guys. You know, you got Mick, Joel, Kelly, really good on the big points. J-Bay and places like Cloudbreak, they'll be really tough to beat. And then you've got, of course, the new generation. You've got the 5 new guys in Gabriel Medina, Miguel Pupo, John, Kolohe Andino, and Yaden Nichols. They all bring that air influence to the picture. They all can do the big tricks, that new style of surfing. So those young guys are pushing the established guys. And then you got the mid-pack guys, the very consistent guys that are kind of always there. Bede Durbridge, rock solid. They can surf traditional with power. You got Kieran Pro, the opposite side of an air guy. He can win at pipeline or chopu. The biggest single threat in my mind hitting the stride on all levels is Julian Wilson. I think you got to look at what guy ticks all the boxes. Has the air game, has power, has a great style, surfs good in the heavy waves, pipeline chopu, is good in the point breaks. And I think if I had to pick one guy, I'd say right now it's Julian Wilson. I think the 2012 title will be between him and Jordy Smith. They're at that age where they're hungry enough. I think, you know, some of the rookies, I think Gabriel Medina, I think he'll win some events. I think John Florence will win some events. I look for him to be in the top 10 with Gabriel, and I think Kolohe might have a moment or two where he can win an event as well. Those guys are going to push the established guys, but in terms of world title, Julian, Jordy, Kelly if he goes full bore. So you've got every type of surfing within those 32 guys, so it makes it pretty darn exciting.
Up next, snowboarders get back to their roots at the legendary Mount Baker Banked Slalom in Washington.
And the always effusive Paul Zitzer gives us his take on Inside Skate. Stick around.
Welcome back. Here's the breakdown on the latest in sports with Inside News.
Snowboarders gather at Mount Baker, Washington, February 10th through the 12th for the legendary bank slalom event. Normally, this is where we say what started out 27 years ago as a grassroots movement has grown into a massive billion-dollar event. Well, I'm not, because the Mount Baker Slalom event is a rare event that has stuck to its origins as a celebration for the snowboarding community.
That's right. The event drew a diverse roster of riders, from Supernatural winner Travis Rice to the Friends crew and Kevin Pierce, who competed for the first time in 2 years. Ultimately, it was Norwegian Terje Haakonsen who earned the win, proud to be taking home his 7th coveted duct tape trophy.
And I know what you're thinking. No, he wasn't on shrooms. No, he didn't ride Switch, but he did win. So congratulations, Terje. A crowd of over 58,000 fans jammed into Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego for the 5th stop on the 2012 AMA Supercross Tour. Hot off his win in Anaheim, Ryan Villopoto grabbed the lead on lap 2, with Chad Reed, Bubba Stewart, and Ryan Dungey chasing close behind. Bubba made a play for third, but once again his inconsistency was his own worst enemy, and he went down hard. In the end, it was Chad Reed and Villopoto banging bars until the final lap, but it was Villopoto again at the finish with his 3rd win for 2012, with Reed in 2nd and Dungey rounding out the top 3. Villopoto maintains a 6-point lead in the overall standings.
There's no I in team, but there is one in Zitzer. Here's Paul Zitzer with his always opinionated stance on who you represent and why in skateboarding on this week's Inside Skate.
So the newest Stacy Peralta documentary, The Bones Brigade, an autobiography, premiered at Sundance in January, and apparently when you see it, you're gonna cry a river. But beyond wanting to see it ourselves and shed a few tears, I think it's a pretty good starting point for a lesson on the evolution of the skateboard team. Fact, the Bones Brigade was the first super team. Stacy Peralta traveled all over California looking for the next big thing, and he found it in Hawk, Cap, McGill, Mullen, Lance, and Tommy. But with the demise of the Bones Brigade, the evolution of the skateboard team pretty much ended. What Stacy did in 1985 is what every company owner in TM is still trying to do in 2012. Today, a bunch of companies have the formula pretty well figured out, I'd say. Jamie Thomas has to be the closest thing we have to Stacy these days. He can film, he can edit, pick riders, and talk about your cultivating images. Chief's focus on getting buck at hammer spots while dressed in a certain style and color of pant and shirt has been solid gold for over a decade now. There are other approaches too. Baker's is, who cares what anyone on the team looks or acts like, as long as they don't. Plan B, Volume 2, these dudes are machines. Now, the only other question is, are you popular enough to ride for Plan B? DGK, if you're a hood rat, you're halfway there. And if you can rip too, you might already be on the team. How about Foundation? Let's say you're amazing, but you can't get along with other people on other teams. You're on. Girl and Chocolate, they share a similar program. Do you exude coolness in a way that's impossible to put your finger on, but at the same time is recognized by all who encounter it? Welcome to the team. Crooked, does Mark Gonzalez think you're rad? Good for you and you're on. Zoo York, hopefully you're not a blonde surfer from Huntington Beach. And Flip, we'd prefer it if you weren't American.
Now, Paul, I know we don't always agree on things, but damn it, I respect your style. I do.
My ear's bad.
No, it's good.
Thanks for checking us out again on Inside Alli Sports, your base camp for action sports. And keep up with the latest news and events by following us on Twitter at AlliSports, or give us your take by tweeting at #InsideAlliSports.
And always make sure to subscribe to Alli Sports Network and check out all the shows on the Alli Sports channel here on YouTube. This is Pat Parnell.
And I'm Angela Sun for Inside Alli Sports.